being here. Commissioner, we've been together so many times now, and I want to thank you again for joining us on this tax-exempt issue status and the IRS administration of the provision in the tax code. Last night, I looked up 501c3 statute of the tax code just to refresh my memory. And let me just read. To be considered tax-exempt under Section 501c3 of the Internal Revenue Code, an organization must be organized and operated exclusively for exempt purposes set forth in Section 501c3. A list of exempt organizations include, and this is on page 2202 of the tax code, corporations and any community chest, fund, or foundation organized and operated exclusively for religious, charitable, scientific, testing for public safety, literary, or educational purposes, or to foster national or international amateur sports competition, or for the prevention of cruelty to children or animals, no part of the net earnings of which inures to the benefit of any private shareholder or individual, no substantial part of the activities of which is carrying on propaganda or otherwise attempting to influence legislation, except as otherwise provided in subsection H, and which does not participate in or intervene in, including the publishing or distribution of statements, any political campaign on behalf of or in opposition to any candidate for public office. Now, in the past, we've discussed issues involving the IRS granting Organization 501c3 a status or not. There was a great deal of concern about why were these people waiting so long. Now, today we've turned our focus to issues involving maintaining an organization status once the IRS selects a tax-exempt organization for audit. So I want to focus our discussion on a recent issue involving a 501c3 organization. And I like the idea that where the referrals come from. And it says referrals are complaints the IRS receives about organizations from third parties, including other units of the IRS, members of Congress, and the general public. About 18.2% of the audits closed in 2014 were selected based on referrals. And this comes down to the general public. I want to ask you a question because this has just come up the last couple of days, and it really bothers me, and it bothers a lot of the people of the 3rd District back in Pennsylvania that I represent. Planned Parenthood is a 501c3. Now, it's been in the news recently that Planned Parenthood has been in the news for what appears to be commercial business activity, the sale of fetal tissue. Now, you've seen the videos. I'm assuming you've seen some of the videos. I have, and most of the people that I represent have. Planned Parenthood operates a tax-exempt entity for both 501c3 as well as a 501c4. According to Planned Parenthood's 990 form filed in 2013, they had gross receipts of $986,791. So as a nonprofit, they look rather profitable. However, given the recent videos that have come to light, my question to you, from an outcry from the general public, does the IRS plan to audit or investigate Planned Parenthood for what looks to be a commercial activity? I know we investigate people, and a lot of it's based on referrals. What kind of a referral would the IRS have to look into this?
Obviously, I can't discuss any particular case. As a general matter, we rely on referrals across the board from the public and the Congress, as you note, but we also, as the GAO report notes in some detail, have a process for regularly reviewing the operations of exempt organizations across the board and looking for areas that we think are important to review, important to examine, important to audit. One of them is unrelated business income tax. If you are a 501c organization.
Listen, I don't want to get into the weeds in this. I'm asking you. There's a general outcry right now throughout the United States of America. Whenever we can keep organizations from getting a tax-exempt status, and whenever we can go in and audit certain organizations because we think they're doing something outside of the 501c3 guidelines, we have no problem looking at that. But really what we're talking about today is restoring the faith and trust that the American people have to have in the IRS. And they look to us in Congress as their oversight, the ability to protect them at all costs. And you and I both work for the same people. I do not work for the Republican Party. I work for the people of the Pennsylvania's 3rd District, and more importantly, the people of the United States, the same as you. I'm looking at an organization right now, Planned Parenthood, with a 501c3 status, and looking at the numbers and saying, my God, Do we really have a blind eye and a deaf ear to what's going on there? And are these people ever going to be audited? Have you ever audited the Planned Parenthood?
Let me make just one clarification. Any tax-exempt organization can have unrelated business income. They have to pay tax on it. Universities, public organizations of other
I understand that, Commissioner.
Pardon?
My question, when you read the definition of what qualifies for 501c3, and it very clearly states what it is they have to do, I would think at some point, somebody, somewhere should be hearing all the bells and whistles going out and the smell of sulfur in the room to say, we better look into what's going on here. There's something that's really gone off track. And I would say if referrals can come from the general public, I would think the people of America right now are asking the IRS to take a very good look into this organization that has a 501c3 status. I'm going to look into, I want you, if you get back to me, have they ever been audited? And has anybody ever looked into their procedures that they've been conducting and said these people do not qualify for a 501c3, the same as some of my friends in religious organizations have been targeted the same way, and other organizations because of their political beliefs? It's happened in the past. We know it. These people have retired and left your organization, but they were the people that drove this issue. So I thank you. I'm sorry my time's up, and I hate to go on like this, but this has just reached the point where the American people demand an answer, and they're no longer requesting it. They demand answers to these issues. Thank you.
Mr. Lewis.
Thank you.